The shuttle's engines hummed quietly as it approached the massive structure floating in space. Dr. Alex Reed pressed his face against the small window, watching the Galactic Preserve Station Omega-7 grow larger with each passing second. The station looked like a giant glass bubble wrapped in metal rings, big enough to hold entire forests inside. "First time seeing a preserve station?" asked Ben Cross from the seat beside him. The security specialist had been quiet for most of the 3-day journey from Earth. "First time seeing anything this big," Alex replied. As a xenobiologist, he had studied alien creatures in labs and research facilities, but nothing had prepared him for this. The station was home to the most dangerous predators from dozens of worlds across the galaxy. The shuttle docked with a soft thud. Alex grabbed his research bag and followed Ben through the airlock. The first thing that hit him was the smell. Not unpleasant, but definitely not human. It reminded him of ozone mixed with something floral. A tall, thin figure waited for them in the docking bay. It looked like it was made of living crystal, with light dancing inside its transparent body. This had to be Keeper Vorth, the Rilani who had sent the invitation for this cultural exchange. "Dr. Reed," the creature said, its voice sounding like wind chimes. "Welcome to Omega-7. I am Vorth, your guide during this visit." Alex shook the offered hand, surprised by how warm the crystal felt. "Thank you for having us. I've read about your work with apex predators. It's fascinating." Vorth's crystalline head tilted slightly. "Fascinating, yes. Also extremely dangerous. We have lost 3 keepers this cycle alone, despite all our precautions." They walked through corridors lined with viewing screens showing different habitats. Alex saw creatures that made Earth's tigers look like house cats. In one enclosure, something the size of a bus moved through artificial fog. Its eyes glowed red as it tracked their movement past the window. "That is a shadow hunter from Proxima Prime," Vorth explained. "It can phase through most solid matter when hunting. Took us 50 years to develop containment that actually works." Ben whistled low. "How do you feed something like that?" "Very carefully," said another voice. They turned to see a blue-skinned figure approaching, wearing what looked like official robes. "I am Administrator Quen. You must be our human guests." Alex noticed how both aliens kept a respectful distance from him and Ben. He had read about humanity's reputation among the galactic community. Deathworlders, they called humans, creatures from a planet so violent that most aliens considered it uninhabitable. They entered a lift that carried them higher into the station. Through the transparent walls, Alex could see the preserve's main dome. It was like looking into dozens of different worlds at once. Desert landscapes next to frozen tundra, thick jungles beside rocky mountains. "Your species has an interesting relationship with predators," Quen said as they rose. "Most civilized races learned to avoid dangerous creatures early in their evolution. Humans, it seems, chose to confront them." "Not really a choice," Alex said. "On Earth, if you couldn't deal with predators, you didn't survive to pass on your genes." Vorth made a sound like tinkling glass that Alex guessed was laughter. "Yes, we have studied your world's history. Remarkable that any species survived there at all." The lift stopped at the observation level. Here, the walls were lined with monitors showing different enclosures. Alex watched a pack of silver-furred creatures the size of wolves prowling through artificial snow. Their eyes were too intelligent for comfort. "Crimson hounds from Rigel Prime," Vorth said, noticing his interest. "Pack hunters. Very intelligent. Very aggressive. They have killed more keepers than any other species except the shadow hunters." "How do you manage them?" Alex asked. "Force fields, neural dampeners, automated feeding systems," Quen listed. "Everything is done remotely. Direct contact with any apex predator is considered suicide." Alex frowned as he watched the Crimson Hounds pace endlessly around their enclosure. "They look stressed." "Stressed?" Vorth's crystalline features showed confusion. The pacing, the way they keep looking at the barriers. On Earth, we call this stereotypic behavior. It happens when predators are kept in captivity without proper mental stimulation. Ben leaned against the viewing window. Zoos on Earth learned centuries ago that apex predators need more than just food and shelter. They need purpose, challenges, social interaction. But direct interaction is impossible, Quen said. These creatures are killing machines. The Crimson Hounds once hunted sentient prey across 3 star systems before we contained them. Alex continued watching the silver-furred pack. One of them, slightly larger than the others, had stopped pacing and was staring directly at him through the monitor. For a moment, it felt like the creature was looking right into his eyes, even though Alex knew the camera feed was one way. I'd like to observe them more closely, he said. The silence that followed was so complete that Alex could hear the station's life support systems humming in the background. That is not possible, Forth said finally. The containment protocols exist for good reason. I understand the danger, Alex said. But I study predator behavior. I might be able to help with the stress issues. Dr. Reed, Quen's voice carried a tone of firm authority. You do not understand. These are not Earth predators. They have evolved on worlds where violence is the only law. They have no fear, no hesitation, no mercy. The Shadowhunter once killed an entire research team of 12 beings in less than 30 seconds. Alex nodded, but his attention was drawn back to the monitor. The large crimson hound was still staring at the camera. Its packmates had gathered behind it, all of them now focused on the same spot. They know we're watching, he said. The monitoring system is completely concealed, Forth protested. Doesn't matter. Predators always know when they're being observed. It's a survival instinct. Alex turned to face the two aliens. Look, I appreciate your concerns about safety, but I've worked with dangerous animals my whole career. Earth has taught us things about predator behavior that might be useful here. Ben cleared his throat. Alex has handled everything from great sharks to grizzly bears. If he says he can help, maybe we should listen. Quen and Vorth exchanged a look that Alex couldn't interpret. Finally, Quen spoke. We will consider your request. For now, let us show you the rest of the facility. Perhaps you will better understand our caution once you see what we are dealing with. As they left the observation deck, Alex took one last look at the monitor showing the Crimson Hounds. The pack leader was still watching, its silver eyes following the camera with an intelligence that sent chills down Alex's spine. But it wasn't fear he felt. It was recognition. Something deep in his mind, older than civilization, was responding to those eyes. And somehow he knew the creature was responding to him too. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors of Omega-7 as Dr. Lila Stone hurried to catch up with Alex and Ben. She had arrived on the morning transport, her animal behavior expertise requested after Alex's initial reports about the stressed predators. Sorry I'm late, she said, slightly out of breath. The transport had to wait 3 hours for clearance. Apparently there was some kind of security drill. Forth's crystalline form seemed dimmer than usual. Not a drill, Dr. Stone. We had a containment failure in Section C yesterday. Lost 2 maintenance robots and nearly lost a keeper. They were heading toward the Apex Wing, the most secure section of the station. Alex had been requesting access since his arrival, and Administrator Quen had finally agreed to a controlled tour. The massive blast doors required 3 different authorization codes to open. Welcome to our most dangerous residence, said Security Chief Drex, joining their group. The heavily armored Corvani looked like a walking tank, his thick hide scarred from years of security work. Everything beyond this point can kill you in ways you cannot imagine. The corridor beyond the blast doors was different from the rest of the station. The walls were thicker, the air recycling system louder, and every few meters stood automated defense turrets that tracked their movement. Shadowhunter containment is first on our left, Vorth said, her voice echoing strangely in the reinforced hallway. Please maintain distance from the viewing barrier. Through the thick, transparent aluminum, Alex could see what looked like empty space filled with swirling gray mist. Then something moved in the fog and he caught his breath. The Shadowhunter was easily 12 feet tall, moving on 4 legs that seemed to phase in and out of solid matter. Its head was elongated with rows of teeth that glowed faintly in the artificial light. It knows we're here, Lila whispered. She was right. The creature had stopped moving and was facing their direction, though Alex couldn't see any eyes in the shifting mist around its head. The containment field generates a specific frequency that prevents phasing, Drex explained. Without it, this creature could walk through the station hall and into space without harm. They moved to the next enclosure. Here the Crimson Hounds Alex had seen on the monitors were prowling through their artificial winter habitat. Up close, they were even more impressive. Their silver fur seemed to absorb light, and their eyes held an intelligence that was almost human. The pack structure is fascinating, Lila said, studying their movement. See how they position themselves? The leader is constantly checking on the others while maintaining awareness of potential threats. They are efficient killers, Forth said. On their homeworld, they hunted in coordinated groups of up to 50 individuals. This small pack once brought down a transport ship. Alex was about to respond when alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red emergency lights bathed everything in bloody color, and a mechanical voice echoed through the corridors. Containment breach, Section B. All personnel evacuate immediately. That's impossible, Drex snarled, checking his wrist display. All systems showed green 15 minutes ago. Through the speakers, they could hear panicked voices and the sound of running feet. Then came a scream that made Alex's blood run cold. Not the scream of fear, but of something dying. The Shadow Hunter. Forth gasped, her crystalline body flashing with alarm colors. Its containment field is offline. Drex was already moving, his heavy armor clanking as he ran toward the emergency stairwell. All civilians to the safe rooms. Now. But instead of following, Alex found himself moving toward the sounds of chaos. Some instinct he couldn't name was driving him forward. Past Vorth's protests and Ben's attempts to grab his arm. They reached Section B to find 3 Rilani keepers huddled behind an overturned equipment cart. Beyond them, in the corridor, the Shadow Hunter moved like liquid death. Its form kept shifting between solid and mist, making it impossible to target with the automated defenses. 2 security robots lay in pieces on the floor, their metal twisted into impossible shapes. The creature had killed them without even slowing down. The emergency containment isn't working, one of the keepers cried. It's moving toward the main habitat areas. The Shadow Hunter turned at the sound of voices. In that moment, Alex saw its face clearly for the first time. It wasn't just alien. It was predator perfected, every line designed for killing. Its eyes were black holes that seemed to pull light into them, those eyes fixed on Alex. The creature went completely still. For several heartbeats, human and predator stared at each other across 30 feet of corridor. Alex felt something stir deep in his mind, older than language, older than civilization. It was the part of him that had once hunted mammoth and faced down cave bears with nothing but sharpened sticks. Without breaking eye contact, Alex took a step forward. Dr. Reed, no. Vorth's voice was sharp with terror. The Shadow Hunter's massive head tilted slightly like a dog trying to understand a new sound. Alex took another step, then another. He could hear his heart beating in his ears, but his breathing was steady. The creature made a sound. Not quite a growl, not quite a whine. It was the sound of a predator encountering something it had never met before. Alex stopped just outside the creature's reach and slowly extended his hand, palm down. It was the same gesture he might use with a nervous dog. But something in his posture, his scent. His very presence spoke to the Shadow Hunter in a language older than words. The creature lowered its massive head. Not in submission exactly, but in acknowledgement, one apex predator recognizing another. Easy, Alex said softly. You're okay. No one's going to hurt you. The Shadow Hunter made that strange whining sound again, then slowly began backing toward its containment area. Alex walked beside it, one hand resting lightly on its shoulder. Where his fingers touched, the creature's form became solid, warm, almost reassuring. The blast doors to the containment unit were still open. The creature paused at the threshold, looking back at Alex with those impossible black eyes. Go on, Alex said. You'll be safe in there. The Shadow Hunter entered its enclosure without resistance. The emergency systems activated automatically, sealing the breach and restoring the containment field. In the sudden silence, Alex became aware that everyone was staring at him. Vorth's crystalline features showed patterns he had never seen before. Drex had his weapon halfway out of its holster but seemed frozen in place. How? Quen's voice came from behind them. The administrator had arrived just in time to see Alex walking casually beside the deadliest predator in the galaxy. Alex looked at his hand, still tingling from contact with the Shadow Hunter. I don't know, he said honestly. It just seemed like the right thing to do. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't the whole truth. Something had happened in that corridor. Something that had nothing to do with training or knowledge. The Shadow Hunter hadn't just stopped attacking. It had recognized him as something beyond prey, beyond threat. It had recognized him as pack leader. Word traveled fast through Omega-7. By the time Alex returned to his quarters, every alien on the station knew what had happened with the Shadow Hunter. Some were calling it impossible. Others were calling it terrifying. Dr. Lila Stone found him in the observation lounge, staring out at the stars. The medical bay is full of beings who want to scan you, she said, settling into the chair beside him. Vorth thinks you might be some kind of psychic. Administrator Quen is convinced you're carrying hidden technology. What do you think? Alex asked. Lila was quiet for a long moment. I think you did something that shouldn't be possible. But I also think there might be a logical explanation. The next morning brought a formal request from Quen. Alex was to report to the medical bay for comprehensive testing. Ben came along, partly for support and partly because the administrator had requested his presence as well. The medical scanner was a ring-shaped device that hummed softly as it passed over Alex's body. The readings appeared on screens that the alien medical staff studied with increasing confusion. Completely baseline human, announced Dr. Yeth, the station's Hydrax chief medical officer. No cybernetic implants, no psychic indicators, no genetic modifications. According to every test we can perform, you are entirely ordinary. Ordinary humans don't walk up to shadow hunters and pat them on the head, Quen said dryly. Maybe that's the point, Lila suggested. Maybe being an ordinary human from Earth is extraordinary in ways we don't understand. Vorth had been unusually quiet during the medical examination. Now she stepped forward, her crystalline body flickering with what Alex had learned were thought patterns. I wish to propose an experiment, she said. A controlled test with a different species. If Dr. Reed's interaction with the shadow hunter was some kind of accident, it should not be repeatable. Absolutely not, Quen said immediately. The risk is too great. The risk of not understanding is greater, Vorth argued. If humans possess some unknown ability to control apex predators, the implications for galactic security are enormous. Security Chief Drex, who had been silent until now, spoke up. The Crimson Hounds, they are dangerous but not as unpredictable as the shadow hunter, and they are pack animals, social creatures that might respond to dominance displays. Alex felt his stomach tighten. You want me to go into their enclosure? The containment unit has emergency protocols, Vorth said quickly. Force field barriers, neural dampeners, automated tranquilizer systems. At the first sign of aggression, you would be protected. Ben shook his head. This is insane. Alex, you can't seriously be considering this. But Alex was considering it. The moment with the shadow hunter had awakened something in him, something that felt natural and right in a way that was hard to explain. What exactly would this test involve? Simple observation, Vorth said. We place you in a neutral area adjacent to their habitat. If they show the same recognition response as the shadow hunter, we proceed carefully. If they show aggression, we abort immediately. 3 hours later, Alex stood in an airlock wearing a borrowed environmental suit. Through the transparent barrier ahead of him, he could see the Crimson Hound's winter habitat. The pack of 6 silver-furred predators were spread throughout their territory, but Alex could see they were aware of his presence. All systems green, came Drex's voice through his comm. Emergency extraction ready on my mark. The airlock cycled open. Alex stepped into the habitat's transition area, a small chamber separated from the main enclosure by another barrier. The moment his feet touched the artificial snow, every Crimson Hound in the habitat stopped what they were doing. The pack leader, a magnificent creature with scars across his muzzle, approached the barrier. His yellow eyes locked onto Alex's face, and Alex felt that same strange stirring in his mind that he had experienced with the shadow hunter. They're responding. Lila's voice came through his earpiece. Heart rates dropping, stress indicators falling. This is remarkable. The pack leader made a soft huffing sound, then lay down with his head toward Alex. One by one, the other pack members did the same. Within minutes, the entire pack was arranged in a semicircle, all facing Alex with relaxed, attentive postures. Open the barrier, Alex said quietly. Negative. Drex responded immediately. Too dangerous. They're not showing any aggression. Look at their body language. They're treating me like a pack leader. Dr. Reed, Quen's voice cut through the comm. Do not attempt to enter the main habitat. But Alex was already moving toward the barrier controls. His hands moved without conscious thought, entering the override sequence he had watched Vorth use days earlier. The barrier shimmered and disappeared. The pack leader rose to his feet as Alex stepped into the main habitat. For a moment that seemed to stretch forever, human and predator faced each other across 5 feet of snow. Then the pack leader approached, moving with the fluid grace of a born killer. He stopped just within arm's reach and lowered his head, exposing his throat in a gesture of submission that was older than civilization. Alex reached out and scratched behind the creature's ears. The pack leader made a sound that was almost a purr. "Incredible," Forth whispered over the comm. The other pack members approached one by one, each seeking the same acknowledgement. Alex found himself surrounded by 6 apex predators, all of them treating him with the respect they would show their alpha. "Try a command," Lila suggested. Alex looked at the pack leader and pointed to a spot across the habitat. "Go!" The creature immediately trotted to the indicated location and sat, waiting for further instructions. The rest of the pack watched attentively. "Come back." The pack leader returned, this time bringing a stick from their enrichment toys. He dropped it at Alex's feet and waited. "He wants to play fetch," Alex said, amazement coloring his voice. For the next 30 minutes, Alex interacted with the pack as if they were Earth dogs instead of interstellar killing machines. They responded to every gesture, every vocal command, every subtle shift in his posture. Finally, reluctantly, he prepared to leave. The pack seemed to sense his intentions and gathered around him one last time. The pack leader nuzzled his hand, making that purring sound again. "I'll be back," Alex promised. As he returned to the transition area and the barrier sealed behind him, Alex could hear excited chatter over the comm system. Multiple voices speaking in different alien languages, all discussing what they had just witnessed. But it was Ben's voice that cut through the noise. "Alex, you need to see this." In the observation area, Ben was standing beside one of the monitors showing a different enclosure. On the screen, Alex could see another human figure interacting with a different pack of creatures, metallic blue predators that looked like a cross between wolves and insects. "That's Maintenance Chief Ross," Ben said. "He asked to try the same test with the Void Stalkers after watching your success." "Same results." Alex stared at the screen. Ross, a quiet man who maintained the station's environmental systems, was calmly giving commands to creatures that had killed dozens of trained alien keepers. "It's not just you," Leela said, her voice filled with scientific excitement. "It's all of you. Every human on this station." Vorth approached them, her crystalline body pulsing with rapid thought patterns. "We need to contact Earth," she said. "If all humans possess this ability, then everything we thought we knew about your species is wrong." Alex watched Ross on the monitor, seeing his own amazement reflected in the man's face as alien predators obeyed his every command. Whatever was happening here, whatever made humans special in the eyes of apex predators, it was bigger than anyone had imagined. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a voice that sounded suspiciously like his own was whispering, "You're not just visitors here anymore. You're something else entirely." The research lab buzzed with activity, as alien scientists worked around the clock to understand what they had witnessed. Screens displayed Earth's geological history, evolutionary timelines, and predator-prey relationships spanning millions of years. Alex stood in the center of it all, feeling like a specimen under examination. "The data is conclusive," announced Dr. Yeth, the station's chief scientist. "Earth has experienced more mass extinction events than any other known inhabited world. The Ordovician extinction, the Permian extinction, the Cretaceous extinction. Your planet has been repeatedly wiped clean and forced to start over." Lila leaned over a display showing Earth's timeline. "Each extinction created an evolutionary arms race. Predators became more efficient, prey became more cunning, and everything became more dangerous. But humans survived all of it," Forth added, her crystalline form flickering with rapid calculations. "More than survived, you dominated. You became the apex predator of an apex predator world." Administrator Quen stood at the communication console, speaking in hushed tones with someone off-screen. Alex caught fragments of the conversation. "Galactic Council, security implications. Immediate assessment required." New voice entered the discussion as Professor Hart appeared on the main communication screen. The elderly human evolutionary biologist looked tired but excited, calling in from Earth's Global Research Center. "I've been reviewing the data you sent," Hart said without preamble. "What you're describing makes perfect evolutionary sense. Humans didn't just survive on Earth, we were forged by it." "Explain," Quen commanded, turning his full attention to the screen. Hart gestured to charts and graphs that appeared alongside his image. "Every other known sentient species evolved on what we call garden worlds, planets with stable climates, limited predation pressure, and relatively peaceful evolutionary environments. But Earth is classified as a Class X death world. Class X? Alex asked. The only inhabited planet in that category, Hart continued. Earth's evolutionary pressure was so intense that it created what we call apex predator syndrome in humans. Every aspect of human physiology and psychology is designed to dominate other predators. Dr. Yeth pulled up comparative data on her screens. The professor is correct. Human muscle density, reaction time, pattern recognition, and threat assessment all exceed galactic norms by significant margins. But it's not just physical, Hart said. It's behavioral, chemical, even pheromonal. Humans unconsciously project dominant signals that other predator species instinctively recognize and respond to. Forth's crystalline body pulsed with interest. The subsonic vocalizations we detected during Dr. Reed's interactions? Exactly. Humans produce sounds below the range of their own hearing. Territorial markers, dominance displays, pack coordination signals. To other predators, humans sound like the ultimate alpha predator. Alex thought about his interaction with the shadow hunter, the way the creature had immediately recognized something in him. So we're literally built to intimidate other apex predators. More than that, Hart said. You're built to lead them. Think about it. Humans are the only known species that domesticated other predators. Dogs, cats, even bears, and big cats in some cultures. No other sentient species has ever successfully formed partnerships with apex predators. The communication system chimed, and a new figure appeared on a secondary screen. Counselor Zeph, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, represented the Galactic Council's highest authority. Professor Hart, Zeph's voice resonated with harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. We have been monitoring this conversation. Your theories have significant implications for galactic security. An uncomfortable silence fell over the laboratory. Alex could feel the weight of dozens of alien eyes upon him. The Council has been aware of humanity's unique nature for some time, Zeph continued. Your species' application to join the galactic community was extensively debated. Many members feared that deathworlders posed an unacceptable risk to civilized space. And now, Quen asked, now we discover that humans don't just come from a death world. They are apex deathworld predators capable of controlling other apex predators. The security implications are staggering. Alex felt anger rising in his chest. We're not monsters. We're just trying to understand this as much as you are. Are you? Zeph's energy form pulsed brighter. Dr. Reed, what did you feel when you faced the shadow hunter? The question caught Alex off guard. He thought back to that moment in the corridor, the strange certainty that had guided his actions. I felt recognition, like I was meeting something familiar, even though I'd never seen anything like it before. And when you gave commands to the Crimson Hounds? It felt natural, like they were waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Exactly, Zeph said. You felt natural because you were acting according to your deepest evolutionary programming. You are designed to dominate other predators to make them part of your pack. Lila stepped forward. Counselor, with respect, Alex isn't trying to build an army of alien predators. He's a scientist trying to help improve their living conditions. Today, perhaps, Zeph replied. But what happens when humanity fully understands this ability? What happens when your species realizes they can command the galaxy's most dangerous creatures? Professor Hart leaned closer to his camera. Counselor, humans have lived with apex predators for millennia without destroying them. We've learned to coexist even to protect species that once hunted us. On your own world, Zeph countered. But these are alien predators, weapons of biological warfare that have terrorized entire star systems. In human hands, they could become unstoppable. The weight of the conversation pressed down on Alex like a physical force. He was beginning to understand that this wasn't just about him or even about the preserve station. This was about humanity's place in the galaxy, about whether they would be accepted as partners or feared as threats. What does the Council want? He asked quietly. Zeph's energy form flickered. We want assurance that this ability will not be weaponized. We want oversight of any human interaction with apex predators, and we want to understand the full extent of human capabilities before making any long-term decisions about your species' role in galactic society. That sounds suspiciously like being put under surveillance, Ben said, speaking for the first time in hours. Not surveillance, Zeph corrected. Evaluation. The Council must determine whether humanity represents an opportunity or a threat. Alex looked around the laboratory at the alien faces watching him. Some showed fear, others curiosity, still others something that might have been hope. He realized that his actions over the past few days had changed everything. Not just for him, but for every human in the galaxy. What if we could prove that this ability could be used for good? He asked. What if we could show that humans can help, not harm? Vorth's crystalline features brightened. You mean a demonstration of constructive application? I mean showing the Council that humans aren't interested in building armies of alien predators, Alex said. We're interested in understanding them, helping them, maybe even protecting them. Counselor Zeph considered this. What exactly are you proposing, Dr. Reed? Alex took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would shape humanity's future among the stars. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. Let us show you what humans can really do with this ability. The energy being pulsed thoughtfully. Very well. You will have your chance, Dr. Reed. But know that the entire galaxy will be watching. The grand arena of Omega-7 had never been designed for what was about to happen. The massive circular chamber, normally used for educational presentations about alien wildlife, now hosted representatives from 12 different galactic species. They sat in the reinforced observation galleries, watching through triple-layered transparent barriers as technicians made final preparations below. Alex stood in the arena's center, trying to ignore the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon him. 3 days had passed since Counselor Zeph's challenge, and the Galactic Council had wasted no time arranging this demonstration. If Alex succeeded in proving humans could use their apex predator abilities constructively, humanity would earn a place of respect in galactic society. If he failed, the creature arrives in 10 minutes, Administrator Quen announced over the arena's communication system. Dr. Reed, are you certain you wish to proceed? The Void Stalker has killed more keepers than any other creature in preservation history. Alex looked up at the observation gallery where Lila and Ben watched with obvious concern. Vorth stood beside them, her crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. In the VIP section, Counselor Zeph's energy matrix flickered with what might have been anticipation. I'm ready, Alex said, though his mouth felt dry. The arena's massive cargo doors began to open with a grinding of heavy machinery. Through the widening gap, Alex could see the transport containment unit, a cube of metal and force fields designed to hold the galaxy's most dangerous predator. The Void Stalker had been captured in deep space 5 years ago after it destroyed 3 research vessels. According to the files Alex had studied, it was intelligent, aggressive, and absolutely without fear. The creature stood 12 feet tall and massed over 2 tons of muscle, claws, and predatory instinct. Transport unit in position, came the technician's voice. Releasing containment in 30 seconds. Alex took a deep breath and centered himself. Over the past 3 days, he had worked with every apex predator on the station, learning to trust the instincts that evolution had given him. Each interaction had been easier than the last, as if his confidence in this strange ability grew with practice. 20 seconds. In the observation gallery, he could see alien dignitaries leaning forward in their seats. Some looked curious, others skeptical. A few appeared genuinely frightened. 10 seconds. The containment unit's force field shimmered and died. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the transport's rear door began to lower with mechanical slowness. What emerged was nightmare-made flesh. The Void Stalker moved on 6 legs that ended in razor-sharp claws. Its hide was black as space, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Most terrifying of all were its eyes. Multiple clusters of silver orbs that tracked every movement in the arena with predatory intelligence. The creature paused just outside its transport, head raised to scent the air. Its multiple eyes fixed on Alex, and he felt that familiar stirring in his mind, the awakening of instincts older than civilization. Easy, Alex said softly, though he knew the creature was still too far away to hear him clearly. Nobody's going to hurt you here. The Void Stalker took a step forward, then another. Its movement was fluid despite its size, each step placed with careful precision. Alex could hear its breathing, a deep rhythmic sound that seemed to resonate in his chest. It's approaching without aggression, came Dr. Yeth's voice over the observation speakers. Stress indicators are surprisingly low. Alex began walking toward the creature, maintaining steady eye contact. With each step, he felt more confident, more in control. This wasn't about dominating the creature through force. It was about communication, recognition, mutual respect between apex predators. The Void Stalkers stopped when they were 10 feet apart. Up close, Alex could see the intelligence in its alien eyes, the careful evaluation taking place behind those silver orbs. The creature was trying to understand what Alex was, just as Alex was trying to understand it. "That's right," Alex said, his voice carrying clearly in the arena's silence. "Take your time. Figure out what I am." The creature made a sound, a low rumble that seemed to come from deep in its chest. Then, incredibly, it lowered its massive head in what Alex recognized as a gesture of acknowledgement. "Remarkable," breathed Vorth over the speakers. "It's showing deference behavior." Alex reached out slowly and placed his hand on the creature's head. The hide felt warm and surprisingly soft. The Void Stalker leaned into his touch, making that rumbling sound again. "Good," Alex said. "Very good." For the next 20 minutes, Alex demonstrated the same kind of interaction he had shown with the other predators. The Void Stalker responded to verbal commands, followed directional gestures, and even performed simple tasks when asked. But the real test came when the arena's safety systems malfunctioned. Cascade failure in the observation gallery's power grid caused the protective barriers to flicker and die. Emergency alarms blared as backup systems struggled to restore containment. In the gallery above, Alex could see panic spreading among the alien observers as they suddenly found themselves separated from a massive predator by nothing but air. The Void Stalker reacted instantly to the commotion, its predatory instincts triggered by the sounds of fear and panic. It spun toward the observation gallery, multiple eyes focusing on the movements above. Alex could see its muscles tensing, preparing to leap the 30 feet to the gallery floor. "No," Alex said firmly, moving to place himself between the creature and the panicking observers. "Stay with me." The Void Stalker paused, torn between its hunting instincts and Alex's command. For a moment that stretched like eternity, the arena balanced on the edge of disaster. Then the creature turned back to Alex, abandoning its focus on the potential prey above. More than that, it positioned itself protectively beside Alex, facing outward as if ready to defend him from any threat. "Incredible," came Counselor Zeph's voice over the emergency communication system. "The creature is protecting Dr. Reed, not hunting the observers." The backup systems finally kicked in, restoring the protective barriers. But the damage to alien assumptions about human-predator relationships was permanent. In full view of galactic representatives, Alex had not just controlled a legendary killer, he had turned it into a guardian. As the arena's emergency lighting gave way to normal illumination, Alex found himself still standing beside the Void Stalker. The creature remained alert but calm, occasionally nuzzling Alex's shoulder with obvious affection. "The demonstration is complete," came Administrator Quen's shaken voice. "Transport unit preparing for creature return." Alex scratched behind the Void Stalker's head one last time. "You did great," he said softly. "Thank you." The creature made its rumbling sound again, then obediently followed the transport unit's guidance beam back into containment. As the cargo door sealed, Alex looked up at the observation gallery. Every alien face showed the same expression. Not fear, not suspicion, but wonder. Counselor Zeph's energy form pulsed brighter than Alex had ever seen it. "Dr. Reed," the council representative said, "I believe humanity has just redefined what it means to be civilized." In the gallery, Ben and Lila were grinning widely. Vorth's crystalline body flickered with what Alex had learned were joy patterns. Even the skeptical observers seemed impressed by what they had witnessed. As Alex left the arena, he knew that everything had changed. Humanity would no longer be seen as dangerous deathworlders to be feared and contained. They would be recognized as something far more valuable, partners who could bridge the gap between civilization and the wild spaces of the galaxy. The real work was just beginning. 6 months later, Alex stood in the same observation lounge where he had first questioned Vorth about the stressed predators. But everything had changed. Through the transparent walls, he could see human specialists working directly with creatures that had once been considered untouchable. In Habitat 7, Dr. Mills was conducting behavioral therapy with a pack of crystal wolves. The magnificent creatures, whose prismatic fur could cut through most metals, were learning to channel their hunting instincts into constructive activities. Their stress behaviors had disappeared entirely. "The mortality rate has dropped to 0, reported Dr. Park, the new human liaison to the Galactic Council. Her holographic image flickered slightly in the station's communication center. Across all 17 preserve facilities now employing human specialists, we haven't lost a single keeper in 4 months. Administrator Quinn, who had initially viewed humans with suspicion, now looked genuinely pleased. The improvement in creature well-being has been remarkable. We are seeing natural behaviors we never knew these species possessed. Alex nodded, watching as Dr. Mills worked with the crystal wolves. The creatures were actually playing something that had been thought impossible for apex predators in captivity. It makes sense, Lila said, joining the conversation from her new position as Director of Interspecies Behavioral Studies. These predators spent millions of years evolving in hierarchical social structures. Without an alpha presence, they were essentially rudderless. Ben Cross entered the lounge carrying a data pad. As head of human security operations, he now oversaw the training of human specialists across the galaxy. Just got word from the Vega station, he said. Their nightmare hunters have started responding to basic commands. The keepers there want to request 2 more human trainers. Granted, Alex said without hesitation. As director of the new Apex Predator Partnership Program, he had final authority over specialist assignments. It was a responsibility he had never expected but had grown to embrace. Forth's crystalline form chimed softly as she approached their group. The Rilani Keeper had become one of humanity's strongest advocates among the alien species. The council session begins in 1 hour, she reminded them. Today's vote will determine the future of human-alien cooperation. Through the lounge's main viewer, Alex could see the approaching ships of the Galactic Council's mobile assembly. Representatives from 47 species had come to Omega-7 to witness the results of humanity's work and decide whether the partnership program should be expanded galaxy-wide. Are you nervous? Lila asked. Alex considered the question. 6 months ago, he would have been terrified to address the galactic community. Now, after working with creatures that could tear apart starships, alien politicians seemed manageable. Not nervous, he said. Excited. The council session convened in the station's largest conference hall. Representatives filled the chamber, crystalline Rilani, amphibious Hydrax, energy-based beings like Counselor Zeph, and dozens of other species Alex was still learning to identify. Admiral Foster represented Earth, her uniform crisp and her expression confident. Beside her sat Dr. Park and Professor Hart, who had traveled from Earth specifically for this session. The initial results speak for themselves, Counselor Zeph announced, his energy form pulsing with formal authority. Human integration into preserve operations has exceeded all projections. Casualty rates are down, creature welfare is up, and we have learned more about apex predator behavior in 6 months than in the previous century. A being that looked like living metal raised what might have been a hand. What assurance do we have that humans will not weaponize these relationships? Admiral Foster stood to respond. The same assurance any species gives. Our commitment to peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit. Humans have worked alongside apex predators on Earth for thousands of years. We've learned that partnership is more valuable than domination. The results support this claim, added a feathered representative from the Altair system. Human specialists have consistently prioritized creature welfare over control. They seem genuinely interested in helping these beings thrive. Alex was called to speak next. As he approached the central platform, he looked out at the assembled faces, some still showing wariness, others displaying curiosity, many reflecting genuine respect. 6 months ago, I came to this station as a scientist wanting to study alien predators, he began. I discovered something I never expected. That these creatures weren't problems to be contained, but beings with their own needs, their own intelligence, their own capacity for partnership. He gestured toward the viewing screens showing various habitats around the station. The Void Stalker that once terrorized deep space now helps train security forces in threat assessment. The Crimson Hounds that raided shipping lanes now work as search and rescue teams. The Crystal Wolves that cut through military barriers now help with precision manufacturing. A ripple of interest went through the assembly. These applications had been developed over the past month as human specialists discovered new capabilities in their predator partners. Humans don't control these creatures, Alex continued. We communicate with them. We provide the social structure they evolved to need, and they provide capabilities that benefit everyone. Counselor Zeph's form brightened. The Council recognizes the value of this program. However, concerns remain about expansion. Are humans prepared for the responsibility of galaxy-wide implementation? Dr. Park stood. Earth has established the Institute for Apex Predator Studies. We're training specialists, developing protocols, and creating oversight structures to ensure responsible expansion of the program. We've also proposed joint human-alien teams for each new facility, Admiral Foster added. Humans provide the Apex Predator interface, while alien specialists contribute their expertise in xenobiology, containment technology, and facility management. The debate continued for another hour, but Alex could sense the mood of the chamber. The initial fear and suspicion had been replaced by cautious optimism and genuine scientific interest. When the vote was called, it was overwhelming. 38 species in favor of expansion, 6 opposed, 3 abstaining. The Galactic Preserve Partnership Program is hereby approved, Counselor Zeph announced. Human specialists will be integrated into preserve facilities across the galaxy, working alongside alien colleagues to improve the lives of apex predators and advance our understanding of interspecies cooperation. As the assembly dispersed, Alex found himself surrounded by representatives wanting to discuss implementation timelines, specialist requirements, and facility modifications. But his attention was drawn to the viewing screens showing the preserve habitats. In one screen, he could see Dr. Mills teaching the crystal wolves to play a complex game that exercised both their hunting instincts and their problem-solving abilities. In another, Ben Cross was working with a young void stalker, helping it learn to control its strength during interaction with smaller beings. You did it, Lila said, appearing at his elbow. Humanity has found its place in the galaxy. Alex smiled, watching as the crimson hounds he had first encountered ran through an obstacle course designed to challenge their intelligence and agility. They looked happy, a concept that would have seemed absurd when he first arrived at Omega 7. We all did it, he said. Humans, aliens, and the predators themselves. We learned that cooperation is always stronger than domination. Vorth approached them, her crystalline form displaying what Alex now recognized as deep satisfaction. I have been asked to establish a new training facility in the Centauri system. Would you consider serving as consultant for the program? I'd be honored, Alex replied. As he looked out at the stars beyond the station's viewing ports, Alex reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had come to the galaxy expecting to find their place through exploration, trade, or technological advancement. Instead, they had found it through understanding. By recognizing that their greatest strength lay not in conquering the wild spaces of the universe, but in bridging the gap between civilization and the magnificent, dangerous, intelligent creatures that inhabited those spaces. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. And now, finally, humans had found their role in exploring it, not as conquerors or even as explorers, but as the bridge between all the different forms of life that called the stars home. In the habitat below, a void stalker looked up at the observation window and made its rumbling sound of contentment. Alex raised his hand in acknowledgement, and the creature settled back to rest. Partners. That's what they were now, all of them. And the galaxy was better for it.